9 most brutal punishments of the Wild West. 1. The Brazen Bull. The Brazen Bull, sometimes known as the Sicilian Bull, was a bronze statue of a bull with a cavity large enough to fit a person inside. Designed by the ancient Greeks on Sicily, the bull held the condemned prisoner locked inside as a fire was lit beneath it. The bronze bull would heat, and the unfortunate soul inside would be slowly roasted alive while screaming in agony. 2. The rack, one of the most famous torture devices to make the list. The rack was a very popular torture device made of a wooden rectangular frame. The limbs of the convicted would be attached to either end of the frame with chains, and with the help of pulleys and rollers, they would be stretched until they either became useless or were completely torn from the body. Originally used in antiquity, although we are unsure which civilization first conceived such a monstrous contraption, it was recorded that Alexander the Great used it. The rack gained popularity in Western Europe in the late Middle Ages, when it was first introduced to England in 1447, although the French added to the torment by sticking spikes to the rollers. 3. Crucifixion. Ah yes, the crucifixion. Just about everyone on the planet knows about this particularly cruel form of punishment. Jesus Christ was the most famous victim of crucifixion, but it was widely used throughout Roman times, and the 6,000 rebels of Spartacus's slave revolt, unlucky enough to not be killed in battle, were crucified along the Appian Way, a road spanning 200 kilometers. Although principally practiced in antiquity, this barbaric method of torture has, sadly, not yet been thrown in the trash heap of history. Several Islamic states still use crucifixion as a legitimate form of execution. It is a deliberately slow and excruciating execution where the condemned person is tied or nailed to a large wooden cross and left to hang until they die, which usually takes days. 4. Guillotine. Probably the most humane form of execution on this list, it was still very brutal. Although not actually invented by Joseph Ignace Guillotin, the guillotine has bore his name ever since he proposed the idea for a more humane and equal form of execution for revolutionary France. The last execution occurred in 1977. The guillotine was made of a razor-sharp blade attached to a rope which dropped onto the victim's head, severing it from their body. 5. Rat torture. If you have ever read George Orwell's novel, 1984, then you will be aware of the terrifying prospect of rat torture as the book's protagonist, Winston Smith, discovers when subjected to the terror of Room 101. If you have not read it, then I highly recommend it. Anyway, back to rat torture. This chilling torture technique involved a cage with one open side strapped to the victim's body, often the chest. The cage would then be filled with rats, and the metal cage would be heated. The rodent's natural instinct led them to flee the intense heat. Where could they possibly flee to? Through the condemned, of course. In order to escape, they would burrow through the victim's body with fatal results. 6. Breast ripper. Here's one for the ladies.